Sure. Well, Detroit and their public schools have sort of been in crisis for years. This is nothing new. Education Secretary Arne Duncan called Detroit ground zero for the country's education crisis. And what you have seen there, if you look at the numbers, is just an exodus of students. Over the last decade, 2000 to 2010, Detroit's population fell 20%. But their public school enrollment, Martin, fell 50%. Parents are taking their kids out of Detroit schools, taking them to the suburbs. So you have a massive budget deficit in Detroit. $327 million is the budget gap that the schools are facing right now. And you mentioned what is happening. And in order to close that gap, what Robert Bobb, the emergency financial manager in charge of all of this, has done is he just got approved a plan to close 70 schools. That would only leave 72 public schools in all of Detroit. And that would mean 60 kids in high school classes. This is the man we're talking about, Robert Bobb here. We spent a lot of time with him in Detroit last month, and I want you to take a listen to what he has to say about why they are shuttering all of these schools. Take a listen. You've closed 59 schools, more than a quarter of Detroit's public schools, and that has angered parents and teachers.
We're going to anger more individuals in the next few months because I'm going to close somewhere between 20 maybe 40 schools within the next few months.
So you're almost cutting the number of Detroit public schools in half. Indeed, they are. They're even going further than that, which is what this plan is confirming. And just to give you a sense of how many students are fleeing this school district in Detroit, what they're expecting is that the city will go from about 73,000 public school students right now, Martin, to just over 58,000 by 2014. So in just 3 years, they're going to lose thousands of more students. And each student leaves, they lose money for the district, and that makes the situation even worse, Martin.
Yeah, of course. Poppy, is this the only option, or are there other plans out there that are being considered or talked about?
Right. There are. That's a great question. Right now, Robert Bobb says, look, this is the only option we have. You, the state, are mandating us to close this massive gap, to get it down to zero from over 300 million. This is the only way we can do that. What he also says is this isn't an economically or academically viable plan. What he wants to do is restructure the schools like GM was restructured, essentially make a new school system and an old school system. Let the old school system carry the debt. The new school system have a fresh start. That's going to be a very hard sell to the state legislature, but that is what he wants to see happen.